Hey, what's happening? Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I'm trying to think of a word that describes how I'm feeling this morning with the video I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to talk about here. It's a mixture of disgust and fear, disbelief. It kind of makes me scared of what I'm going to do, where things are going to go from here. Okay, honestly, I've always believed that most Americans, up until about 7, 8 years ago, I believe that most Americans, either Democrat, Republican, Independent, Progressive, whatever, Communist, most Americans were like me, good people at heart, good people. They were basically honest. So some people tend to embellish, or if they get in trouble, they kind of spin things a little bit. But I really believe that in their heart, everybody else was just like me. If they were conservative or liberal, if you lose, you admit you're a good loser. You admit you lost. Like I said, people tend to embellish or exaggerate, but I believe that the majority, the vast 99% of the rest of the country was probably like me. Basically just a good human being at heart, and it doesn't appear that way, and it's scary. Okay. I watched what Tucker Carlson was saying about the hearings, the January 6th hearings. And this is what makes me feel this way. Because you look back to right after when the day this happened, and all the Republicans, all these same people, Fox News even, all the Republicans, all my neighbors, the Trump supporters were all in shock. They, disgusted, shaking their heads. It reminds me of, how sometimes people will call out for, we'll nuke them, we'll go to war, and stuff like that. Because in their mind, they have this gallant picture of war and winning and all that, riding in on a white horse, the Lone Ranger and all that stuff. But then after you actually see and smell and hear what it's really like, it's just shock and disgust and regret. When you see the reality of it. And that's what I thought, I saw on January 6th. The majority of people around me were just like, whoa, and a lot of them were like, they were backing, everybody was backing off from Trump. This is wrong. Look, we can't believe what happened. This is, they tried to overthrow the Capitol. And, not to mention the violence that occurred that day. All the Trump supporters, all the Republicans you see on TV, Fox News and everybody, we're all on the same page. Whoa, this is too much. This wasn't right. Something bad happened here. And now, over the period of a year and a half, it's like they're completely different people. It's not even the same story. You wouldn't even think it's the same thing they're talking about. Tucker Carlson, actually, I'll have the clip down below. He actually came out and said, it's all a big lie, that the January 6th hearings are a big lie. We're not going to go along with it. It's propaganda, he's saying. And this is what really grabbed me. He says, by today's standards, this was just relatively minor violence. It was minor when you're talking about violence. And, I thought about that, and everything that's been happening, like in Texas. And when you continually downplay horrific events like this, violence, you get people used to it. They become accustomed to it. And this is one of the causes. Right there, what we're seeing is one of the causes why you see so much violence with the Second Amendment issues and all that today, is people get hardened. I said softened before, but people become accustomed, used to this violence. And Tucker Carlson saying that, by him saying that January 6th, and I just thought, I was like, are you kidding me? I have my own eyes, and I see what happened there that day, and it's horrific that this happened on the Capitol. These people were there out of their own mouths because Donald Trump wanted them there, because the election was what they claim. They claim about the election. The people that were there, out of their own mouths, were there because of him. You watch the horrific stuff. Like, I saw, the one thing that really shocked me was the lady officer getting knocked unconscious to the ground and just lying there with a railing on top of her, and people just filming her and running over her. Yeah, and these, the gallows they brought there, what these people were chanting, it's horrific. This is the first time this has ever happened in U.S. history. Not to mention that the current president of the United States would not peacefully transfer power. That has never happened. This is just horrific. It is an overthrow of democracy, of the people's vote. And to hear Tucker Carlson, I mean, there's going to be people that say, well, there could have been some issues with the ballots, there was some stuff going on. You could still say that, but you can't deny what happened there that day. You cannot that's when I started losing faith in my fellow Americans, because they're being blatantly dishonest. You know what it reminded me of? I'm going to share this with you. It reminded me of the one day, this addict, we were hanging out in the car. I'm going to tell you this incident, and this is exactly what it reminds me of. There was like 3 of us in a car, and we were driving, and we got pulled over by the police. And the guy in the back seat, I had no idea, but he had a warrant. I ended up driving on my way that day, but he went to jail. And I found out later that the police pulled him out of the car, and he knew what he was caught for, and he was all remorseful. Apparently, there was a truck at a construction site, and he took the aluminum ladders, the toolboxes, he stripped it, he brought them to the pawn shop, used his own ID to check them into the pawn shop to get the money to go buy drugs. And addicts do this all the time. This is part of addiction. It's stupid. You're going to get caught. But let me try to give you a picture into the mind, like what my mind was like. All you know is that you are in so much pain, like with withdrawals. All that matters is getting what you need. It feels like torture. And, in the back of your mind, there's going to be a lot of repercussions to this down the road, but that doesn't even play into the decision at that moment. And that's why you see so many, you see stupid criminals, people doing things that, they know they're going to get caught for, their face and everything. And it's the addiction. That's what it is. Because, they're only thinking the addiction has gotten to this point where you don't even consider long term. All that matters is to end this torture and misery of withdrawal that you're feeling. That's all that matters. People, I could see people, telling, you can cut my arm off later. Just give me something right now. Seriously, that's how messed up addiction is. So this day, as the police are pulling him out, you could see he's tearing up, and he's I'm sorry, it was, I'll go to rehab. I knew it was wrong. What if I pay him back? What if I give them restitution? As they're hauling him away, and you can see the guilt on his face. He knows what he did was wrong, and it's a couple months later now, and he's going to court. They a lot of times they keep continuing these things, and he's going to court the next day. Now this is about maybe 6 months to 8 months later, and we're all sitting in a house doing our thing, sitting around the kitchen table, and it's a totally different person. He's sitting there going, look, I thought, he's like, this is bull, man. This is a bull case. He says, that truck was abandoned. The guy, the workers told me I could take this stuff because they didn't want it to haul to the junkyard. They told me I could take this stuff. It was just junk, and now this is bull, man. I'm being framed. And I sat there, and everybody around the table was agreeing with him. And he looks at me and he goes, right? Right? Like I'm supposed to agree with him. And I'm just, my mouth's kind of dropped open. And I'm like, I was there that day. I know the truth. I saw you. I saw the regret. I saw you crying as the cops locked you up. I saw you offering to pay restitution for the stuff you stole. Who are you kidding me? Am I supposed to seriously sit here and go, yeah, you're right, man, that's bull. You had every right to take that. I'm sure they told you. He claims that the worker, a random worker, told him that the truck had broken down and it was all stuff just going to the junk. And he'd be doing him a favor if he took the stuff. This is all made up. But I just sat there shocked. And, over this period of 6 or 8 months, this person had gone from being remorseful and admitting what he had done and being repentant and ashamed by it to actually believing his lies, and looking at me like, right, like I'm supposed to know the truth too, and I'm supposed to go along with it, and I just looked at him that day, and you lose respect for somebody at that point. I don't know why, but I did a lot of stuff I'm ashamed of, embarrassed of, but I don't remember. I lied to myself, but I don't remember ever doing something to that extent. And that's what they remind me of. The people like Tucker Carlson these days, the people around him, Fox News. That day, a year and a half ago, the day after January 6th, it was a totally different thing. They were all backing away from Trump. This is terrible. This can never happen again. And to now, a year and a half later, oh, it's all a big lie. It was nothing. This wasn't an insurrection. No, are you kidding me? This wasn't an insurrection. They were there to overthrow the vote. We all heard what they wanted to do to the lawmakers. That was no joke. We hear it out of their mouths. If this wasn't an insurrection, what is? And I just sat there listening to Tucker Carlson yesterday. And you lose respect. Because I know you're lying, and you're lying, and half of America, all of America knows you're lying, but half America is going along with it. And you just, I used to think all Americans were basically good and honest and like me, and apparently they're not. All right, you guys have a good Saturday.